Yeah, just to clear up a bit of a misunderstanding, or can you call it? No, I was going to call it a controversy, but no, maybe just a misunderstanding. Um, haven't spoken to you since Thursday. Didn't do an episode on Friday. Um, how to get fat episode. Um, you may have thought that I am glorifying fatness. No, 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 not at all, not at all. I'm not trying to say get fat. That was not the meaning or the intent. Sorry, the intention. It wasn't the intention of the episode. Being fat is not good. It's unhealthy. It's not good. Please don't get confused or think that I'm glorifying fatness. So the headline, "How to Get Fat," is I'm busy explaining how I get fat, and it's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. Thought I had to clear that up. Not everything. Not some things that I think are obvious. Turns out, oh, I just hit my microphone. Turns out it's not always obvious to everybody. I just got into this crazy conversation on Twitter a few minutes ago because I was having trouble rebooting my computer, so huge delay recording this episode, and I got into this conversation because I was on my iPhone on Twitter with somebody. It just people argue about things that you just like, what? Are you insane? Basically saying why the man's asking on Twitter, why must you protect yourself against the unvaccinated? In other words, he's saying if people are unvaccinated, what's the big deal? Why do you need to be protected against the unvaccinated if you are vaccinated? I don't know what this doesn't this guy read? Doesn't he hear how it all works? And what I think is obvious is obviously not obvious to this guy. And then he still argues with me. I'm busy saying the vaccine just prevents you from either getting sick at all or getting very sick. You might get mild symptoms. The vaccine decreases your chance of being hospitalized and decreases your chance of dying. And so you still get the vaccine. sorry, you can still carry the virus if you are vaccinated. You can still get the virus if you're vaccinated. And then you can still spread the virus, but not as easily as people that are unvaccinated. And then the guy copies and pastes a story from the UK. I haven't read the story, but the story was somebody died in the UK after getting the AstraZeneca vaccine. So this guy says, "Hey, what about this?" I don't understand. What is wrong? You can't blame our education system for this stupidity. First of all, we don't have the AstraZeneca vaccine in South Africa. It's mainly the Pfizer and in some cases the Johnson and Johnson. Plus, there have been about 4 billion vaccinations around the world. So why is this guy focusing on this one story that I don't know the details about? And if it is true, although tragic and sad, one reported case of somebody dying from the vaccine, it's very rare. It's bizarre. It doesn't happen that often. There's been over 4 billion vaccinated. Why are people... Anyway, I shouldn't carry on because I'm getting annoyed from one person and it's not right. You are not that one person. You are not that one person. I'm hoping. I mean, I just know that my Twitter, you know what I did in the end? I just couldn't anymore. I muted him. Didn't want to block him, muted him. So what is that? It's wonderful. It's a wonderful function on Twitter to mute people. So you don't get their tweets. They don't see you and you don't see them, but they can look you up and they can look at your tweets if they want to. And if I wanted to, I can I'm not going to remember his Twitter handle. These people with weird Twitter handles. His Twitter handle was some name and some digits, 2, 3, 7, 9, 11, whatever. That is your Twitter handle. You obviously don't want people to find you on Twitter. Anyway. Speaking of, yes, I'm still fat. Weighed myself yesterday. I was 135 last week. Now I'm 133.7. Ugh. Okay, enough about me. So President Ramaphosa spoke to us on Thursday night. Level 1. President Ramaphosa spoke to British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. I know. I called him Boris Yeltsin the other day. Okay, that these things happened. It was a mistake. I know it's not Boris Yeltsin. It's Boris Johnson. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear a conversation between Cyril Ramaphosa and Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson, about 2 years ago, maybe longer, before he was Prime Minister, or he had just become Prime Minister, he was being interviewed and he was talking about how he collects trains. He came across as this vacuous, like schoolboy. It was like silly. I thought, what? Is this man like the leader of one of the major Western developed countries in the world? He's telling us about his train set. It was either trains or trucks or matchbox cars. It was something like that children do. Or if you're an adult, you just keep it to yourself. You might have a secret collection of something. That you don't really. You got a huge collection of Liverpool memorabilia or Manchester United memorabilia, and you've spent over 100,000 rand on this memorabilia. But you're in overdraft. You've got debts on your credit card. You can't pay your children's school fees, but you got all this Liverpool memorabilia. You don't tell people about it. You don't advertise what you collect. You don't. Imagine that. Imagine you collect whiskies or something. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing in this day and age. Especially did you read the employment figures over the weekend? I was just looking at the story this morning. 73% of our 18 to 24-year-olds, that's our youth, that's our youngest people in the job market out of school, between 18 and 24, 73% are unemployed. Granted, that figure is a little bit inaccurate because it's counting people that are still studying. It's counting people that are still living with their parents and are being supported by their parents. So it's not 73% of 18 to 24-year-olds that are destitute and on the streets begging. No. So it's a little bit, the figure is a little bit misleading, but still. So I would say the 73% is slightly inflated because of all those factors I just mentioned. So take that 73% and halve it then. Halve it. That's 37%. Something like 36.5%. That's a huge figure. We've got a serious problem. 43% of all black females in South Africa unemployed. So our economy is not doing so good. So President Ramaphosa, I don't know, he's a good actor. I don't know if he's an actor, whether he's naive or whether he's deluded. But he was saying, whoa, we're now in level 1, and there's an injection. We're gonna pick up this economy is gonna pick up. Because of further relaxed lockdown restrictions, so that the South African economy is set for a major rebound. Those were his words. He must be listening to these motivational tapes. I don't know. Sometimes someone's knock. Someone's trying to get into President Ramaphosa's office. Want to talk to the president. Eventually he responds, President, I've been standing here trying to get into. Oh, sorry, I had my I'm sorry. I had my headphones on, listening to motivational tapes. I am getting very positive. We are level 1. Where are my motivational books? Where is my other motivational tapes? Where are they? That's what happens. Look, in all fairness, you're the leader of the country, you've got to be positive. I mean, you can't stand, but you can't be, look, you can't stand on the podium as the president of South Africa and burst into tears. You can't collapse. You've got to be able to handle stress. You can't suddenly have anxiety issues if you're the president of South Africa. If you're any leader, especially if you're a leader, I mean, you don't see the CEO of Eskom, whatever his name is, Johan de Ruyter, he doesn't burst into, I'm not a racist. They all strong characters. I mean, you got to give it to former President Jacob Zuma. He couldn't appear somewhere, was it? I think he can't appear in court for some reason. They say he's now overseas. He's now overseas getting medical help. But you've got to give former President Jacob Zuma some kind of credit. He's at his most vulnerable. He's not well. It's wise of him not to appear on camera. He'll probably look, miserable, negative. He's got lots of followers that are relying on him. Don't know what these followers are thinking. But you've got to look strong. I don't know what you think of these level 1 restrictions. Now, with the level 1 restrictions, it's unfortunately most people are just thinking of themselves. Oh, the curfew is now midnight, I can go jolling. Oh, I can now have that bar mitzvah, that wedding that I always wanted with 100 people instead of only 50. Oh, wonderful, I can buy alcohol every day of the week. No, it's not about you. It's not about your own personal thing, in my opinion. You've got to look at this whole level 1 thing as the holistic picture. It's a positive for the country that we're improving. So going back to President Ramaphosa, he's on the phone with Boris Johnson. And President Ramaphosa, I don't know how, he's convinced Boris Johnson, listen here, take us off this level, this level, what's it, red something. We were in the red zone, or the level red. So if South Africans want to go visit the UK, our vaccination was not going to be recognized. And that was going to be a big problem. And then there was the whole spiel about people from the UK couldn't come to South Africa on holiday. Now apparently it's virtually a foregone conclusion that we're going to be out of this red listing, or this red, sorry, I forgot the exact terminology. So that's a big boost for the economy. Tourism, all that, very, very, very important. Very important. Speaking of levels, and I don't know, this might not affect you. Maybe this is just about Johannesburg. Saw a thing where we're on level 1 water restrictions in Johannesburg. So you can only water your garden you're not allowed to water your garden between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And you're not allowed to wash your driveways and paved areas using the hose pipe. Last week, I try to go for a run. You can't really call it a run. It's a shuffle, but we know that. I see people watering the grass. Watering the grass. Is there any logic to that? Look, just think about this very carefully. If you've grown up with a garden, with a pavement with grass, with a garden with grass, have you ever had a problem where your grass doesn't grow in summer? Do you have a problem that your grass doesn't grow? Yes, in some rare instances where you've got a big tree and the grass doesn't grow under the tree because maybe it's because there's shade all the time, or the grass, the tree, the physiology, the biochemistry of the tree doesn't allow grass to grow. That's the only exception. There's never been a problem with grass growing. I mean, you have to mow your lawn at least once a week in summer, in Johannesburg at least. Now we've had the first rains the last couple of days. Believe me, your grass is going to grow. Why are people wasting water watering the grass? And it's not just an isolated incident. So I have a gardener, a guy who does our garden. He comes once a week. You know that I have to remind him every year, please, please, do not water the grass. Please do not water the driveway. Please do not wash the yard. And I know he's looking at me thinking I'm mad because all the other people he works for, because he works for me, for our family once a week, he does other families other days of the week. They all tell him to water everything. So he thinks I'm mad. I know he does. He doesn't say it, but he gives a little grin. I know what he's thinking. He's thinking, oi, this guy's crazy. But I have to remind him. Truth, Bob, 2 weeks ago, I saw him with the hose pipe, and he looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at me. And he looked at me, and he said, hey, can I water the... And I, no, well, you know. No, you know. He was just testing. He wanted to see maybe I've changed my mind. No. Anyway, just, I don't know. It's all about, I don't know, it's about civil responsibility. It's just about being part of the team. Be a team player. Be part of society. That's why it drives me so mad, these people who don't want to get the vaccine. I find it so upsetting. If you refuse to do the vaccine, there's something seriously wrong with you. Really, there is. There is. Just get the damn vaccine. What's the issue? So glad I unfollowed that guy on Twitter. I don't have to deal with the stupidity. Speaking of stupidity, some people are still living in the 80s, I think. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and one of the excuses for apartheid, one of the apartheid apologists or the apartheid supporters, one of their key things was we're fighting communism. At the time, it was the Cold War, so there was this evil communist thing happening with the Soviet bloc, and the Soviet bloc had control over Romania, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, all those Baltic states were part of the USSR at the time. Then you had East Germany, and I'm sure I'm leaving out other countries. Countries like Azerbaijan, Georgia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. Those countries were all part of the USSR. Anyway, so you had the Soviet bloc, and you had this Cold War, and the South African government would say, we're fighting communism. We're fighting communism. I don't even know what they knew. I don't even think they knew what communism was. So Ernst Rutz, who's now today's don't know what you want to call him, right winger. He's busy commenting on Bladen Zamande on Twitter. So Bladen Zamande is the South African Communist Party General Secretary. Yes, we have a Communist Party in South Africa. But come on, do you think that the Communist Party of South Africa is like the Communist Party of Brezhnev or Stalin? Really? I mean, I know for a fact that Bladen Zamande's son he's a qualified CA now, or he's about to qualify as a CA. Would a communist want his son to be an accountant, to be a chartered accountant? So Bladen Zamande said that we should put the people before profit. So then Ernst Rutz says, this is a reasonable claim. He says, this is what Ernst Rutz adds. However, actively destroying profit and as a result also the people through communist policy ideas is something completely different. Now, dear Ernst Rutz, what communist ideas does Bladen Zamande have that is going to be destroying profit, and what communist policy ideas does Bladen Zamande really push? Are there really any true communists in South Africa? It's just a figure of speech. No, I wouldn't say the figure of speech. It's just a brand. They call it the Communist Party. Doesn't mean they're really, really communists. Anyway. The point, but that's not the point. The whole point of what I'm trying to say now is this fear mongering of communism carrying on in this day and age, in the year 2021. You're just going back to being like kind of like a bastion of apartheid, trying to like you're a relic of the past, Ernst Ritz, coming with this Rooi Gevaar, trying to still push this Rooi Gevaar agenda. It's really pathetic. Now that my dogs are barking, etc., we'll put an end to it now. But I think anyway. Oh, I didn't do Friday. Let's just move on. I won't even go. Friday was a terrible day. I had a horrible day on Friday, and I just didn't get a chance. Okay, we won't go into that. Maybe I'll discuss it next time.